value addition as Prime Minister launches copper processing plant. Good evening, I'm Faitha Ngaga. You can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBC Online. Also, get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook, and X pages at TBC Online. President Samia Suluhu Hassan says the launch of the JP Magufuli Bridge will facilitate regional trade and connect Tanzania with its neighboring countries of Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, Rwanda, to name a few. She made the remarks in Mwanza region while launching the strategic bridge, encouraging people of the Great Lakes region to focus on commercial crops so as to benefit from the opportunities that will be made available through the bridge. Here are more details.
This marks the official launch of the strategic 718 billion shillings John Pombe Magufuli Bridge, eagerly awaited by Tanzanians to ease road transport between the residents of Kigongo and Busisi. During the launch, the Minister of Works says President Samia found the project to be at 25% complete, and now it is officially inaugurated.
Honorable President, you once said that you would ensure that all projects are completed, including the Kigongo-Busisi Bridge, which you have now completed.
Furthermore, the Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa says the government will continue to finalize all strategic projects.
Honorable President, I have seen your efforts to coordinate and develop all the projects you started with the late John Pombe Magufuli, and you said that this project must be completed. Your instructions have been your will and your determination.
President Samia narrates the history behind that prompted President John Pombe Magufuli to come up with the idea of building the bridge.
Miongoni mwa vitu nilivyoahidi,
among the things I promised when I was sworn in was to lead the United Republic of Tanzania and to complete strategic projects, including this Kigongo-Busisi project.
Then she gives instructions to the defense and security agencies, as well as the Tanzanian citizens.
This bridge will be a symbol of our country, proving that we have made many strides, making Tanzania an economically prosperous nation, and that Tanzania can plan and implement major projects.
The 3.2-kilometer bridge will facilitate timely crossings over the Gulf of Lake Victoria between Kigongo in Misungu district and Busisi in Sengerema district, Mwanza region, boosting regional trade and integration.
The Kigongo-Busisi Bridge, officially the JP Magufuli Bridge, is a road bridge which started to be constructed from December 2019. Before the construction of this bridge, there was no road link between Kigongo and Busisi. But what more is there to know about the bridge? Let's join my colleague Lulua Mohammed, who takes us through all main features and history of the bridge.
It is a milestone. Launch of JP Magufuli Bridge, famously known as Kigongo-Busisi Bridge, is history in the making. The bridge was a dream of former President late John Magufuli, who was once quoted saying the bridge will save people's lives who were using risky boats to cross from Kigongo area to Busisi area. President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who became President of Tanzania in March 2021, made the dream a reality by implementing the project. The 3.2 kilometers bridge is the longest in Eastern and Central Africa and 6th longest in Africa, with width of 28.45 meters and expected lifespan of 100 years. More than 80% of construction materials are from Tanzania. More than 29,000 Tanzanians have benefited from various employment opportunities since the start of the construction of the bridge in February 2020. The bridge is said to be unique because of the cables used, which reflect the national flag of Tanzania with more than 200 lights. JP Magufuli Bridge, links Kigongo area in Mwanza region and Busisi area in Geita region through Lake Victoria. Construction of the bridge started in February 2020 by using government funds. The bridge is like a new dawn with high expectations for residents of Lake Zone. Ray of hope for their livelihood socially and economically. The bridge comes with economic opportunities as it is going to save time for transportation. By using motorcycles, tricycles, cars and buses, even walking on foot, people can use maximum of 5 minutes to cross from Kigongo to Busisi compared to 30 minutes to 2 hours used earlier by using Kigongo-Busisi ferry. The bridge is also going to serve as a link to dry port of Fela in Mwanza region and other neighboring countries, hence enabling transportation of goods and improving business environment. Because of its beauty, it can also be used as a touristic attraction. Lulwa Mohammed, TBC News.
Now, to discuss more on the bridge and the overall Lake Zone region, we are joined live by political analyst Novatist Igosha. Igosha, welcome to TBC.
Thank you very much, Faisal.
So before we dive deep into the bridge, tell us how strategic is the Lake Zone region?
Thank you very much. The Lake Zone region is very strategic in terms of three criteria or elements. Number one, it is the second fastest growing in terms of GDP in the country, but also an area with a lot of resources in terms of marine resources, especially fish in the Lake Zone, Nile perch, tilapia, but strategic minerals such as gold and diamond. But there are also cash crops such as cotton and, of course, maize. And I am one of the people that grew up there. So there are other cultural areas like Bunyoro, which you could learn Sukuma folklore, domestic tourism, but at the same time, you could also learn skills in terms of traditions where original internetships came from. So in terms of being strategic, it connects even other neighboring countries such as Uganda and, of course, Rwanda.
Now let's talk about the bridge. How is the bridge going to facilitate all these opportunities you mentioned, economic opportunities and potentials?
Thank you. Before I say that, I want to say that today is the date that shall live in glory and reverence to the Tanzanian history, especially the people, the president, and of course the East African region. Now, let me explain the bridge. The Magufuli-Busisi Bridge is the symbol of national confidence for Tanzania because 720 billion Tanzanian shillings was raised by our own government to construct this iconic infrastructure. It remains a symbol of presidential leadership and accountability because if we remember, the president came when the bridge had only been constructed 18%, but today it is at 100%. It continues to be a symbol of economic transformation and a story of the Lake Zone, but the larger Tanzanian story. And to some of us, very personal. Now let me connect. I grew up in Sengerema circa 1995 to 2001. By the time crossing the lake by ferry could take 2 hours in Busisi, and sometimes 2.5 hours in Kamanga Ferry. But today, this bridge is just reducing time in 3 minutes to a maximum of 10 minutes. Now, that is going to add value. It's going to add efficiency. At the same time, it's going to reduce the cost of transportation. And that is the most iconic symbol of not only Tanzania, East Africa, but a very powerful symbol of Africanness and of course, economic diplomacy by the president.
Mm-hmm. There's this notion that some people still have, which is kind of outdated, about if you leave or invest in Dar, then you can make it. So, they may not see value in investment in other regions. What do you have to say to people who still have that mindset?
I just want to be very frank. I do believe that people should not be caught up in this, what we call Dar es Salaam city syndrome, or where if you are in the largest urban areas, you can have more economic opportunities. But I believe that to each their own. But today, when you look at the Lake Zone and other places across the country, value of land or real estate is a little bit lower compared to Dar es Salaam. Economic opportunities in terms of, let's say, minerals, agriculture, as far as the president's budgeting, is over 1 billion Tanzanian shillings in subsidies in agriculture, and of course, seeds, cotton, and of course, wheat. It is very much important to also see beyond Dar es Salaam and other large cities like Dodoma and Arusha.
How can the lake region now be transformed further?
I do believe it can be transformed further in terms of policy innovation by creating targeted tax reforms, but at the same time being a place where there is completely regional integration, but fast-tracking business licenses in terms where if investors go there, whether they are foreign or national investors, there shouldn't be economic red tapes. Now, I think this would create value addition in terms of, let's say, cotton. Instead of only being exported as a raw material, it can also be exported as textile. But also we can find strategic minerals like gold. There is also licensing in that resource. And therefore, it's going to give confidence to other investors, not only Gator Gold Mine, but other large players across the region and, of course, across the world. And in my humble confidence, I do believe when we go to the election in October, people shall make the right decision to bring back the president, because this is a symbolic economic transformation.
Thank you very much, Igosha, for that contribution. That was Novatist Igosha, political economic analyst. Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has directed the Ministry of Minerals to conduct thorough exploration in the Chunya district, which is endowed by copper minerals, and identify areas that Tanzanians can invest and generate an income. The Prime Minister gave the directive while launching the copper ore processing plant of the Mineral Access System Tanzania Limited MAST in Chunya district, their region.
Wizara na taasisi mbalimbali, endeleeni kusimamia wawekezaji hawa nchini ili wanapofanya shughuli zao wazingatie sheria, kanuni na taratibu za nchi hii.
The ministry and other relevant institutions must continue to monitor these investors to ensure that in carrying out their activities, they comply with the country's laws, regulations, and procedures, including paying the required taxes, protecting the environment, and ensuring the safety of workers and surrounding communities. I have been informed that the Director General of STAMICO is here. Please continue to implement these responsibilities. Secondly, to all factories, owners, and investors, ensure that your operations comply the legal requirements, especially in preserving the environment and working closely with local village and district councils. I also urge the Ministry of Minerals to continue promoting research on various minerals so that citizens who wish to engage in mining can do so, and to help attract more investors into the sector.
On the other hand, the Deputy Minister of Minerals, Stephen Kirusa, outlines the plans of the ministry and the role the mining sector plays, while the company's CEO, Geoffrey Kente, elaborates how his plant will invest in other regions.
Ni sehemu ya utekelezaji wa sera na sheria ya madini.
This factory is part of the implementation of the mineral policy and laws, which require that Tanzanians' minerals be mined, processed, and value added locally before being exported. The aim is to expand economic opportunities through job creation, technology transfer, and other related benefits. It is one of 9 factories that we have planned across the country to add value to our minerals before they are sold abroad.
What we have built here at Chunya, we see as the beginning of mineral exploitation and mineral development in Africa, and mostly in Tanzania. We plan to build similar plants at Dodoma, at Arusha, and we look forward to the continued support of the government of Tanzania.
Some of the residents living around the area also elaborated how the plant will be beneficial in terms of employment and other economic prospects. In other news, ministers from the Central Corridor member countries have agreed to increase efforts to improve transport infrastructure so as to support their countries economically and socially. The agreement was reached today in Dar es Salaam during the 16th meeting of the member countries, which include Tanzania, Burundi, DRC, Uganda, Malawi, Zambia, and Rwanda. The ministers commended Tanzania for continuing to modernize its infrastructure system by the construction of SGR Railway, the improvement of the Dar es Salaam, Tanga and Mtwara ports, as well as the improvement of the aviation sector, and agreeing to build the Central Corridor headquarters in Dar es Salaam.
In this meeting, we reviewed our plan for the next year, the calculations of the past year and the construction of the headquarters of the Central Corridor, which will be held here in Dar es Salaam. And we have also appointed a new chairman from Malawi.
On the other hand, the Minister of Transport of Zambia says the improved transport system will reduce the cost of living amongst the member countries, while thanking Central Corridor member countries for putting efforts to speed up the construction of the railway.
We are happy that the Central Corridor Transit Transport Facilitation Agency is taking shape. We are grateful that the host country, Tanzania, has offered us land and that we are going to build a permanent structure, an 8-story building. I think that that will go a long way in the symbolism of our working together.
The new chairperson of the corridor, Engineer Jacob Hara, who is also the Malawi Transport Minister, says during his 3-year term, he will focus on construction of the better transport system.
The countries, actually all the countries that are coming here meeting are countries that have no access to the sea, and that is why Tanzania becomes a key member. And so whatever we do here is basically trying to ensure that we have access to each other, but through that then we can be able to have access through the Dar es Salaam, which becomes a corridor to the oceans and to the rest of the world.
The Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, Professor Daniel Mushi, and the Vice Chancellor of the Muhimbili University of Health and Allied Sciences, MUHA, say the just ended 13th Scientific Conference 2025 has created a platform to discuss how to create new methods and to deal with diseases. They made their remarks in Dar es Salaam during the 13th Scientific Conference 2025, where emphasis was put on productive research to speed up the effectiveness in combating non-communicable diseases that have been rampant around the world.
This particular conference brings together scientists from all the fields in the health sector to discuss new findings from research and practices. And this is a very important opportunity for scientists to come together and share knowledge and practices, because we know the world is moving very fast, technology is advancing very fast, and therefore we ought to learn so as we keep pace with the speed at which the technology is actually evolving.
The purpose of this conference is to meet with the researchers, the policymakers, and the other stakeholders to discuss of the results of what we have done, of the research that we have done, and then we go through what we have done and what we have found. But also we don't do this research on our own. We collaborate with other people all over the world. So after today and tomorrow, we look at what is happening around the world, the results that we have found, and then we make relevant recommendations.
Because of the changes of the economic transition, the nature of work that we do now is quite different from what our predecessors were doing. They were working manual labor, and therefore they used to use a lot of energy, but we are not. So the changes of the economic transition, but also, life expectancy has markedly increased in Tanzania and in our countries as well. So if you live longer, you tend to succumb to non-communicable diseases.
The two-day conference is expected to end up with the adoption of resolutions that will help the government to make positive strides that will further improve the health sector. Now, let's have a look at today's exchange rates according to the Bank of Tanzania, BOT. Don't miss TBC News every weekday to know all the latest in exchange rates. Sports news up next. And in sports, cycling stakeholders have contributed 300 million shillings over a 3-year period to expand the scope of the Twenzetu Butiama, which has been held in honor of the father of the nation, the late Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere. Speaking during the signing of the joint agreement between the leaders of Twenzetu Butiama, Vodacom and Stanbic, this year's expedition aims to reach 10 schools, plant 50,000 trees, and improve the lives of over 700,000 Tanzanians by improving learning environments, providing health services to rural communities, and restoring the ecology of Mount Kilimanjaro through tree planting campaigns.
2 years, I think the key achievements to note is that we have been able to plant more than 100,000 trees. 23,000 people and more have been served through the community health camps. I think if you recall last year, one of the key features of Twende Butiama specifically was the health camp sort of caravans that were going around from community to community.
We started off last year and we're committing to continue to do this at least for the next 3 years and probably even longer if we can keep it going. So this year, we're happy to say that we'll be contributing 100 million shillings a year to this initiative. And we're very, very happy and confident that we'll be able to make a positive impact in the areas that you mentioned, public education and health. Those are key initiatives that we care about as well.
The Twende Butiama cycling competition is expected to begin on July 3rd, 2025, involving 187 cyclists aged 14 to 74, with the number of children increasing from 18 children in 2024 to 32 children this year. In other sports news, Tanzania basketball coach Bahati Mgunda urges sports stakeholders to renovate and build new basketball courts in all Tanzania regions as key factor for the development of the game in the country. Speaking to TBC News in Dar es Salaam, Coach Mgunda says there are many basketball courts in various regions in Tanzania, but they are in bad conditions, hence the need for rehabilitation, urging stakeholders to help the move to boost the game and youth talents.
Tabora ni miongoni mwa maeneo ambao mpira wa kikapu ulianza.
Tabora is one of the places where basketball first began, where it was introduced in Tanzania. But if you look at the courts and hopes, they are still outdated. I think we need more programs and competitions like UMISETA to help improve our region.
And that was sports news. And now before we wind up the news bulletin for tonight, let's have a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to the next 24 hours weather forecast from Tanzania Meteorological Authority. My name is Desderi Moses. From the windy patterns analysis, the large part of our country is expected to feature light windy, moving at a speed of 20 kilometers per hour, with the exception of the northern coast of the Indian Ocean, where the wind is expected to be moderate, moving at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour. And the state of the sea is expected to be slightly to moderate. Cool temperatures are expected to persist over different parts of our country, especially over the southwestern highland regions, where the lowest minimum temperature is expected to reach 8 degrees Celsius over Jombe region. And tonight, partly cloudy condition, thunder showers over a few areas is expected over Kagera and Mara regions. And the remaining part of our country is expected to be mainly dry. Tomorrow, it is our expectation that over Kagera, Geita, Mwanza, Shinyanga, Simiyu, and Mara regions are expected to feature partly cloudy condition, thunder showers for a few areas, and sun periods. And the remaining part of our country is expected to feature only partly cloudy condition and sun periods. Now, let us have a look at the weather forecast for the next 4 days for some regions in our country. Dar es Salaam is expected to feature sun periods and light rain. Dodoma is expected to feature at the lowest minimum temperature, which is 16 degrees Celsius, while over Mbeya region, the lowest temperature is 10 degrees Celsius. Over Mwanza region, thunder showers together with sun periods are expected. Kilimanjaro is expected to feature light rain together with sun periods. Morogoro, the lowest minimum temperature is expected to be 15 degrees Celsius. Arusha, light rain together with sun periods are expected. From Tanzania Meteorological Authority, until next time, thank you for watching us. Goodbye.
And that marks the end of the news bulletin for tonight. Don't miss our next bulletin in Kiswahili at 11 p.m. I am Faitha Gaga. Good night.